Now we're back. Now it is one of the biggest questions when it comes to plans for a Spurs arena downtown. If it happens, what will the traffic and construction look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
There's already a little bit of that down there.
Yeah.
RJ Marquez did some digging to see what drivers, neighbors, and visitors could see if the Spurs arena and Project Marvel get the green light.
If there's a new NBA arena, we're going to need certain construction to be completed before or when it opens.
Melissa Stendahl is the president of the Lavaca Neighborhood Association, one of many neighborhoods that would be directly impacted by a new downtown arena. Parts of Cesar Chavez and South Alamo are already clogged with construction and brake lights for big events.
One of our comprehensive requests to the city and the Spurs is that when they look at and analyze the area and the impact of their development, that it goes beyond Cesar Chavez. Because if we can't get in off Cesar Chavez or Florida Carolina, we're kind of blocked in.
Back in June, Pape Dawson Engineering presented a plan to the City Council that involved close to 20 projects related to traffic. One of the big ideas was a single-point urban interchange at I-37 and Cesar Chavez. This is a modern intersection that engineers said would increase traffic flow there by 60%. There's also plans for a new parking garage near the Alamo Dome and adding thousands of spaces within walking distance of the arena site. VIA is also set to break ground on its green and silver lines that will be dedicated lanes to get people in and out of downtown. But residents being able to park in their own neighborhoods is one of Melissa's major concerns.
City Planner's Office has engaged with us to work on that residential parking permit, some sort of program. If barricade management continues, which we do probably want at certain key locations, is there like a more permanent solution where they can come up and down from the ground?
It's all part of a traffic puzzle that could transform downtown and, yes, lead to more of this construction and delays.
I also want to see the thriving mixed use concept, right? A variety of activities and services for people shopping, not just eating, but also shopping, pet care, medical care, like things like that, so that people can live and work here as well as have fun.
That was our RJ Marquez reporting. All right, let's take a look outside with live cam. It's not how it looks, it's how it feels today. Finally, Shelby, we got this cooler weather.
I know. When I was just outside at both 5 and 6, it felt so nice, but it wouldn't be as cold for the wind. And I know a lot of people are going to say it's a little chilly. Well, normally when you see those cooler temperatures, you don't expect, especially anyone, to be talking about the chance of that fire danger. We are still in a red flag warning just for the next 45 minutes or so for most of us across Bexar County all the way down towards Laredo and Corpus Christi, because any fires that do develop are going to spread quickly, and that's because of the wind, that low humidity. So we still want you to be advised, especially because even if there is no red flag warning, you can still have the chance to see fires start. Now, the good news is the winds are expected to die down as we head throughout the next few hours. And how low? Well, we are still going to see a few gusts, still be a little on the stronger side, but 15 to even 10 miles an hour tonight into tomorrow morning and even tomorrow afternoon. The winds are going to be much quieter than what they were today. Even today, we had 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts reported just to the east of Hondo, and all of that wind is from the north, and it's really allowed some of that cooler Canadian air to really make its way closer to Texas. San Antonio sitting at about 66 degrees right now, Abilene sitting at 61, Omaha 46, Detroit sitting at 42, or 52, I should say. So most of us in the country are starting to feel actually like fall. And with that, normally in fall, you get your first frost, you get your first freeze. Well, some folks are actually going to have to start to be watching that chance for their first freeze. Traditionally, all those colors, or all those counties in pink, from Junction to Rock Springs to Kerrville, even up towards Gillespie County, that's normally the first freeze starts this week and even into next week. For us in San Antonio, we're in that darker blue to almost that light blue teal color. That normally doesn't happen until mid-November to the end of November, early December. But what I want to focus on is that pink color up to the hill country. Normally they have their first freeze this week. Well, tomorrow morning, Some folks are expected to be right at freezing. Now, we're not expecting a big widespread freeze for most of us. San Antonio is going to be sitting at about 41 degrees, but what we're watching is a few select areas in the hill country to be right at freezing. So keep in mind, you might want to cover your pipes, watch your pets, watch your plants, because it might get close to freezing. Now, if you want the cooler temperatures, they're going to stick around. Tomorrow morning is going to be our coldest morning of the next 7 days and our coldest morning in 200 days. And over the next 7 days, we are expecting our morning temperatures to at least rise to about 45 to even sitting in the 50s. And especially on Halloween, our temperatures starting off at about 45 degrees, but in the afternoon, it's still going to be 75. But once that sun really starts to set, you lose some of the daytime heating and some of that heat, just heat in general from the sun. So the temperature starts to drop really quickly. So if you are trick-or-treating, keep in mind it might get a little chilly. And once that temperature and that sun really starts to drop, already by about 10 p.m. if you're out and about still for Halloween, sitting at 60 degrees. And then we start to see a few rain chances. It's only about a 20% chance, so it's not going to be a big washout. And then we fall back. Remember to set your times and your clocks all the way back an hour on Sunday. But the good news is if you love the flannel weather, I know our Garrett Berger does, you'll still be in the 40s and the 70s for at least the next little while, guys.
I'd say by now he has a third flannel shirt.
Oh, absolutely.
We had plenty to choose from, as we saw earlier. So, Shelby, thank you. Okay, very good. You're going to need multiple devices, Larry, or a split screen or something tomorrow night with all the sports going on.
And that's a great night as well. I love those type of nights, Ernie.
It's a beautiful night.
Yes, and tomorrow night, Spurs fans are going to love it because they are home taking on the Miami Heat, and that new up-tempo offense is really going to cause some problems, but the Spurs feel like they can D up enough to stop them. And in college football tomorrow night, UTSA will play a national televised game on ESPN, and they definitely want to shine coming up.
You know, we as a team, like we want to win, and we're not going to win no games just playing offense. We have enough guys who can score the basketball. Yeah, I mean, every day we come in here, we're playing defense. That's the first thing we do.
Julian and the Spurs will certainly need to D up Thursday night in Big Board Sports. Wemby and the undefeated Spurs are getting ready to face the Miami Heat tomorrow night before the Spurs hit the road for 2 straight games. San Antonio is 4-0. And winning their games by an average of 16.5 points per contest. That's best in the NBA. Now, the Heat and their new-look up-tempo offense are on fire. They're averaging a league-best 131.5 points per game this season. They've already scored 146 points and 144 so far this season, 2 of their 4 highest single-game point totals in franchise history. Now, on the flip side, the Silver and Black are giving up a league-low 104.5 points per game. San Antonio will have to play some solid D tomorrow night to slow down the Heat.
They're playing the fastest, I think the fastest in the league right now. A lot of transition, a lot of one-on-one basketball, swing, pass, a lot of stuff like that. So it'll be a physical game. They got some big guys. They got some really good players. So, I mean, it'll definitely test our defense. Credit to the coaching staff, man. They've been giving us a lot of good stuff, a lot of film. We come here every day and we're watching film. We're practicing as if we're playing Miami that day. So I credit to them, man. They've been doing a really good job with that.
So what is the key to kind of dealing with what they're doing now on offense?
We gotta play defense.
Play defense. The Spurs will host the 3-1 Miami Heat tomorrow night at 7:30 at the Frostbank Center. And UTSA football is back in action this week and all set for a primetime Thursday night matchup with the Tulane Green Wave. Tulane is 6-1 overall, 3-0 in the American. UTSA is 3-4 and 1-2 in the American Conference. Starting quarterback Cade McCown said the off week was good for his body. Now he'll get after a Tulane defense that is allowing just under 17 points per game this season in conference play.
Yeah, really good defense. Obviously, Tulane's been a really good program over the years. They have a really good D-line, and then linebackers, DBs are really good as well.
How big of a game is this in the players' eyes? How do you see it?
Yeah, every game's a big game. But obviously, national TV, in the Alamo Dome, there'll be tons of energy on both sides of the ball, so definitely a big game for sure.
Everybody knows, Tulane, great team. Their offense they got a lot of weapons. The L-line is good. They physical. But, we just, like I said, we just focus on ourselves. we go out there and play our game, play UTSA, random football, would be fun.
UTSA will host Tulane tomorrow night at 6:30 at the Alamo Dome, live on ESPN.
We are a really close group. We're a tight-knit group, and these guys, you know, what I enjoy about football, this is the ultimate team sport, and it's not just about the Saturdays on, you know, when the ball's kicked off.
And you can catch more of Sark's interview tonight at 7 on KSAT Sports Now, streaming on KSAT Plus. We're also talking the undefeated Spurs and high school volleyball tonight at 7 on KSAT Sports Now. And by the way, Horns quarterback Arch Manning is back at practice, but still needs to clear concussion protocol.
All right, we'll watch it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You got
All
it.
right, we'll be right back.
The government shutdown forcing the Federal Reserve to make its latest interest rate decision without a key piece of data.
Right, so Karen Kaifa is in Washington right now with a look at what today's announcement means for your wallet. Good evening, Karen.
Good evening, Ernie and Myra. The Federal Reserve this afternoon cutting their benchmark interest rate by 1/4 percentage point. They had government inflation data to back up that decision, but they were without the key jobs numbers.
The Federal Reserve making its latest decision on interest rates without the full picture of how the U.S. economy is faring.
There is no risk-free path for policy as we navigate this tension between our employment and inflation goals. Our framework calls for us to take a balanced approach in promoting both sides of our dual mandate.
The ongoing federal government shutdown has suspended most of the economic data the Fed relies on. That includes the Labor Department's jobs report for September, which should have released October 3rd.
It's not to say that we don't know what's happening with the U.S. economy right now, but we would have a much better idea and a higher degree of confidence if the federal government were operating and releasing the data that we're accustomed to getting.
The Fed can lean on employment data from the private sector as well as its regional banks. And while government inflation data for September did release last Friday, Bankrate's Mark Hamrick says the labor market is really in the Fed's focus.
Inflation is rising at an annual rate of 3%. That's still a long way away from the Fed's 2% target. But the Fed is primarily concerned now about a job market which has essentially frozen.
Justin Wolfers, professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan, says the central bank will likely take upcoming rate cuts with caution.
What it's doing right now is actually just taking its foot off that brake and moving us back to neutral. We'll coast for a little while until we can figure out what the next step needs to be.
Meaning, economists say, consumer relief on mortgages, auto loans, and credit card debt will come slowly, too.
And underscoring slow relief for consumers, Powell said today that a December rate cut is far from a foregone conclusion just because there was so much discussion among the committee members about where the Fed should go next. Ernie and Myra.
All right, Karen, thank you. So what other insights did the Fed offer into where they think the economy might be headed, Karen?
Well, based on their statement, the Fed says inflation still a little bit higher than where they want it to be. The last numbers coming in at 3% year over year. Of course, their target rate is 2%, but it's still higher than where they expected it would be at this point of the year. So it's something they're watching. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said consumer spending keeps happening despite all of the uncertainty in the economy. And that, of course, is good news for the economy because consumer spending is the backbone of the U.S. economy and economic growth. The area of concern is the labor market. Powell described it as softening and kind of low fire, low hire, right? The Fed not seeing a lot of layoffs right now, but also not seeing a lot of hiring, which underscores what a lot of job hunters have been feeling, Ernie.
So without the government jobs data, the Fed and businesses, they have some other numbers to look towards when it comes to the labor market. So what does that data tell us about finding a job right now?
Yeah, Myra, reporters were really curious about how the Fed was assessing the labor landscape, asking Powell what kind of data they were using. And Powell said there is state unemployment data that comes into them that they can look at to get a picture of the jobs market. Also, private companies and the announcements they make about layoffs. Amazon and Target are two big companies that just made announcements recently. And also, they are looking at the private data that comes in. The ADP report looks at private sector payrolls. That ADP report for the last month showed a slight slight uptick in hiring, but it's still pretty tepid. So all of that puts together a picture, Powell said, for the Fed to see a labor market that is softening, but not really in danger of unemployment spiking. And of course, that is what the Fed is trying to prevent with these recent rate cuts, trying to keep unemployment at a low level, even if companies are still hesitant to hire.
All right, Karen Kafer reporting live for us in Washington this evening. Karen, thank you.
All right, we're going to step aside, come back with more on the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo and what next week's election could mean for them after a break.
All right, early voting, of course, underway and getting all the attention right now, props A and B. Proposition A is all about the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo, which is why we got this guy joining us. Cody Davenport, Executive Director and CEO of the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here. Appreciate y'all having us.
You got a little cooler outside, so it starts to feel like the rodeo and everything. But you obviously have your eyes and ears on this election next week. So I'm curious first how you're feeling about what might happen next Tuesday. And in layman's terms, break down if Prop A in your case passes,
sure,
where all those millions and millions of dollars, what does it ultimately mean for the rodeo complex?
Well, I think the main thing as far as the rodeo complex, going back to, we were the first residents there since 1949.
Right.
This is a great opportunity for the stock show. We literally have been growing to this point. Spurs, rodeo outgrew each other. We came into the county. We have to take care of the east side. We have to take care of those county facilities. And we came into the county and we said, we have a plan. Rodeo is ready to go year round. And we went into them and we explained what year round meant. It's not rinse and repeat rodeo, misperception there.
Right.
We're talking about a Western industry, massive, where we can be bringing in people from all over the nation, from cuttings to reinings to ropings to chariatas to escaramusas to everything out there in the Western industry that we can be bringing in the manner that Las Vegas, Calgary, and Fort Worth are great examples, in the manner that they capture that Western industry. So we put together a plan and presented it to the county and said, we want to take care of the east side. We've always been here. We don't want to go anywhere, and we can expand and we can fill these venues down here.
So Proposition A would put close to $200 million in county funding toward the Coliseum Frost Bank Center to make it this year-round rodeo complex. And I'm glad you mentioned it's not rinse and repeat rodeo, because most of us, we know the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo for 2 weeks out of the year. So would there be enough activity there 12 months out of the year to really make this a year-round active facility?
Absolutely. It's already happening out there. The cities that I referenced and stuff like that, this is already happening out there. And ever since I've been in a CEO, my phone is constantly ringing because I'm out there working the industry year round. It's always ringing. We want to bring this event in. We'd like y'all's brand on it. And we want to be in San Antonio. I mean, we are a destination city, especially in the winter months. So they're always calling someone to come and I have to tell them, I only have these grounds for the month of February. Reminding you, we bring 1.5 million people in that small little window, but I only have them in February. And if I could get access to the grounds on a year-round basis, yes, we can bring them in. The money you referenced earlier, it gives us two important things. One, competitive facilities so that I can go out there and I can offer these things up to these entities at a competitive level with other cities. And two, with the east side, those grounds have needed for so long, which is an identity. Right now, when you have the Coliseum Advisory Board, the Spurs, and the rodeo, all three occupying one home, and we're constantly moving in and out with our operations and stuff like that. There's no identity to those grounds. Y'all know it. Y'all are down there during rodeo season.
Right.
Let's face it. It's an asphalt jungle with metal buildings, right? It has no attractive feel to it. If you can get an identity down there, now we're getting somewhere and we're taking care of those facilities in the manner that they should have been taken care of all along. And we presented that in the plans.
And the Spurs literally coined the rodeo road trip because of some of what you've just talked about. So we know this could play out in a number of different ways, right? Both props could pass, both could fail, one could pass. What are your contingency plans depending on what happens with one or both of the propositions on Tuesday?
Well, I'm confident A is going to go through. I'm pleading and begging my Bexar County residents to go out and vote for us and push us through. So let's say that scenario happens. A goes through. We're going through. We have worked with the county on this. We have a commitment from Judge Sakai that our plan will go through to expand on those grounds and take care of the facilities on those grounds to give it that, that identity and that base. So we would go through if A comes through. Now, A doesn't pass, we're in a whole new ball game, right? And then if B passes, It's smooth, it's nice, we all work together. Spurs go downtown, we stay there, everybody's one nice unified front inside of San Antonio. A passes, B doesn't. I can't speak on behalf of the Spurs, but I can speak on behalf of the rodeo, and we're going forward with our plans.
You mentioned a couple times here taking care of the east side. That is a big question that people have had about both of these propositions. What do you think that creating that year-round rodeo would do for the east side that the Frost Bank Center has not done?
I think what you need to go back and think about is, I reference the type of client that goes down there. So let's say the three of us, right? We go to a Spurs game. Odds are we're going back to our homes at the end of the night. When we go down there, we watch the game, we're going back to our homes.
Right.
Right? And that's the basis of that type of venue under that type of operation, be it basketball, concerts, whatever. Rodeo, every single county in the state of Texas comes down to us in the month of February. They're staying an average of 3 days. So you, by nature of the competitive events that we design and the type of things that we design, you're bringing out of town people in for these competitions. Our competitions run an average of 3 days. So they're there. I mean, for lack of better words, I have a captive audience that I'm bringing down, and they have to eat, they have to sleep, they have to have a place to stay in the area. They don't want to be far from these, high dollar animals and competitive things, even on the youth side. They want to be in that area. All this is evident inside of our economic impact study that we just did that shows the pattern of where they're staying, where they're traveling, and even where they're coming in from. We're talking about a completely different type of client. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be the developer. At the end of the day, I run a rodeo, guys. That's what I do.
Right.
But what I can do, and what our show can do, is guarantee, look anybody in the eyes, and say we're going to bring down the type of client or people that allows that type of opportunity. We do it in February. We've been doing it since 1949. This is not a new concept, a new idea. We will bring that type of person out. If you look at us in February, you could build a business around that. But when everybody leaves in February and you have this different type of client in, it's very difficult to build that type of business. So we can guarantee the type of people we're going to bring in that will allow that type of opportunity.
All right, we will see what happens on Tuesday night.
We will, yes.
Cody Davenport, Executive Director, CEO of the Rodeo, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time.
You bet.
All right, let's take a quick look outside with live cam before we head to break. We're going to talk about these cooler temperatures and how long they're going to stick around. Shelby's got your forecast coming up.
Well, Hurricane Melissa made landfall as a Category 5 storm with winds of up to 185 miles an hour.
So here's why we're showing you this restaurant. This is all an effort to help in the recovery. It's happening right here in San Antonio at this local Jamaican restaurant. They are at the heart of it.
Diapers, medications, even if it's just a Band-Aid, clothes, food, whatever it is, cash, whatever it is, we are willing and open to accept because our people back home is going to need everybody on board.
Jody Ann is from Jamaica. Her family is there. Her restaurant is called Real Jamaican, and it's located on San Pedro Avenue.
Now, her nonprofit, the Jamaican Renaissance Initiative, will be sending all the donations they receive directly overseas. And we are coming into November, and of course, I guess it's easy to forget that we're still in hurricane season.
Absolutely. Melissa's definitely reminded us, Shelby.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll get to Hurricane Melissa on just a second, but we're entering in November. So statistically speaking, we should start to see some cooler temperatures, and they have finally arrived. Our temperatures this morning, we were waking up in the 50s, 53 degrees this morning in San Antonio. Our high temperature was only 69. And we're going to basically rinse and repeat, except tomorrow we're tracking temperatures just a few degrees cooler. Those clear skies we're seeing this afternoon and overnight tonight will actually allow our temperatures to sit a few degrees cooler, because normally when you see the cloud coverage overnight, those clouds act like a blanket to keep us a few degrees warmer. But tomorrow we're waking up with clear skies, so we'll be waking up at about 41 degrees for most of us. Peak temperature about 72 for us in San Antonio. And like I mentioned, Hurricane Melissa made landfall as a Category 5 hurricane in Jamaica. Now in areas just around the Bahamas is just a Category 1, still producing 90-mile-an-hour winds, and the pressure is still very low. And the good news is now it's kind of picking up its pace. It is expected to move just to the northeast already by Bermuda by Friday afternoon and by Friday mid-morning, and eventually it will go off into the Atlantic. And Melissa is going to continue to move through, but what we're watching in San Antonio is even some rain chances for us. Yes, we're still having some cooler temperatures for the foreseeable future, but what we're watching is a brief chance of some showers possible on Saturday. So that low pressure system just to the east of us, that's what brought that cold front earlier yesterday evening, and that's what brought and allowed some of that cool Canadian air to really feed into San Antonio with those stronger winds. That low pressure system is expected to continue to move to the east, but what we're watching is another Alberta clipper and that Colorado low to really move closer to San Antonio. And as that Alberta clipper, normally it will produce some showers and even some snow for portions of the Midwest, but for us, it is going to get closer to South Texas. It could provide a very weak, cool front, but it's not the type of front that what we saw yesterday to really affect our temperatures. What it could is just bring us a quick shower or two. Most of it is expected to be well to the east of us, closer to Houston and Beaumont, but it could provide a little bit of rain and some humidity. And as that low pressure system continues to move closer to the east, we get another big blue H, that heat high, getting closer to San Antonio. But the good news is that area of high pressure isn't going to give us the triple-digit heat we're expecting and normally are used to. Now for Trick or Treat Friday night, it is going to be a little bone chilling for some, although our temperatures are going to be about 75 degrees for our peak temperature. By the time we get to sunset, I do expect temperatures to be about 70, and once that sun really starts to set, it's going to cool quickly. So you might want to have a light jacket for some of the kiddos if you're going out and about. But the good news is that normally we're not expecting to be any sort of records this year for Halloween. Our rainiest, our coolest, or our warmest. Our warmest was 90 degrees last year. This year we'll be sitting in the 70s. Our coldest was 27 degrees and our rainiest was almost 2 inches. We're not expecting any rain on Halloween. We're not expecting the 20-degree temperatures or even the 90s that we had this year. This year for Halloween, we're expecting just 75 degrees, waking up in the mornings between 41 to even in the 50s for most of us for the next 7 days, and plenty of sunny skies to allow our temperatures to warm up into the 70s. Very fall-like, because fall is finally here, guys.
Finally,
Fantastic.
Shelby, thank you.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
We will. Here's a look at what's on ABC Primetime. At 7, it is Shifting Gears, followed by Abbott Elementary at 7:30. Then at 8, join us for a special re-airing of our 2025 Muertos Fest broadcast. And then stick around, of course, for the Night Beat at 10.
Waking up tomorrow, chilly for some, 41 degrees in San Antonio. Some areas can be waking up in the 30s closer to the hill country. 72 degrees in the afternoon, slightly chilly for some folks for a spooktacular Halloween on Friday. Chance of rain Saturday as we fall back into Sunday, with temperatures still being more of the same in the 40s, 50s, and even 70s.
All right, Shelby, thank you. And thank you for watching the news at 6.
We'll see you tonight on the Night Beat. Good night.